Hey bosses, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm actually super happy, super excited because I received the information and it's confirmed that the house that I built here in Hollywood, and I'm here on the lake area in Hollywood, was sold. If you're following me on this channel for long enough, you know that as of today I'm a real estate agent, but I start my journey here in Miami, in South Florida, as a real estate developer. First project that I did was building a residential tower in Bay Harbor Island. And after we did that project, we had another one coming, another tower that we converted to just renovate the multifamily that was in the lot that we bought with the investors. And when my first company that we came with, Tross International, closed their doors in Brazil and they left the operation here, me and my partners were thinking about what to develop next. And I was researching already about the luxury market, and based on the margins that we had in our building in Bay Harbor, the margins that we had in a little flip that we did, I thought that building luxury homes would be the path to grow, the path to continue developing here in South Florida. And this was the first luxury home, this was the house, this was the project that initiated me in the luxury segment. We bought an older house that was facing the water, that was a terrible house in the right neighborhood. So our goal was to rebuild that house. It was not a ground up construction. We had an architect working to redevelop that house into a luxury home, and that's what we did. We bought the land in 2017. We had a lot of problems in that construction, and that's why I reinforce my thoughts and my rationale on developing single-family luxury homes. We had a lot of problems in that house, but because the margins on the real estate, on the luxury real estate market is so good, we still could make some money, or the investor could make some money on that property. As I told you, we had several problems. Number one, when we bought that house, we had a big hurricane here in 2017. I don't remember which one was. That once we were ready to submit the plans to the city shut down and they were not accepting new plans. So we delayed the project in like 6 months. And if you're doing construction, you know that delay is loss, because also we had financed the construction, the land at that moment, the acquisition. So since we had financed there, each month that went by, we were losing money in interest, and that was a problem. So after we figured that out, it was 6 months delay more or less, we started the construction. We started the construction the next year, and in 2018. And as the construction went, we had to do modifications in the budget and in the project, because as I told you, that house was an older house that we were redeveloping. So some of the issues that we had with that house was that the original plans that were registered in the city, to which the architect used based on to develop the new project, they were not correct. In some areas there was piles that was in the plan, but they were not in the actual construction, and also the opposite, some piles that were there and were not on the plans. So every time we faced one of those problems, we had to call the architect. He had to redo the engineering of the house, and then we continue, and that took another 6 months if we combine all the time that we stopped in that construction to do that. And at the end we had COVID. So COVID was also another problem, because and that's when I left the company. My role in the company was, in the company that I had, Argentum, was to find deals, structure deals in the way that the investor could come in. So I had to take care of the equity and the finance structure, the money that we got from the bank. And I was in charge of developing the project, overseeing the project and the drawings and everything. And I was in charge of the marketing and sales of that project. So construction would not be the actual construction. I had two partners. One was a general contractor and the other one was a builder in Brazil. He's not a GC here, but he had experience. So they were in charge of the actual execution of the construction. But structuring the deal, the two extreme ends, structuring the deal in the beginning, financially, legally, and selling at the end, that was with me. And this part of what I was doing was getting the money from the bank and from the investors. I remember that on March 13th or March 12th, I was coming from Europe, from a trip from Europe, and there was the lockdown was announced last year, and I had the bank ready to refinance the construction because the finance was due. We lost almost a year, 6 months in the beginning, 6 months throughout the project to that. So the construction was due, the construction loan was due, and we had to renovate. So I was renovating with another lender. We signed the documents, electronic signing, on a Thursday. That was Thursday. I was on the at the airport. I remember I was in Lisbon airport signing the documents. Everything was fine. Overnight, during the weekend, the lockdown was announced, and on Monday the bank called me, and the bank did the same thing for the other projects that we had. But the bank called me, Daniel, we're not financing anymore. And that's when my world collapsed, because I thought we were going to be foreclosed by the bank, by the current lender that we had. And because the relationship that I had with the lender, they didn't foreclose, they overcharged us in interest. But in the end, that was March. In August, I finally refinanced that deal with the same lender. After a lot of stress with the investor, a lot of stress with the lender, a lot of stress overall, and now they finalized the construction 3 months ago, put the property in the market, and sold it. So I'm pretty excited. I was not in charge of the sales anymore. As I told you, I left in August. When I left, the construction was 90% done. Only minor things to end. And I left because the stress was so intense, and the only thing that was missing right now was finishing construction. I had two partners that could handle that. We entered into an agreement that I left the company. But just to put you on perspective of what I did regarding the margins, this project, when we first developed that project, the idea was to sell the house for 2.94 million based on the comparables of this area from 3-4 years ago. That was the idea. And the cost was 1.9. It was $950,000 for the acquisition of the land, and plus $1 million in construction and soft costs. As I told you, during the construction we had problems, and we had to review the budget. The first review of the budget, we brought the budget from $1.9 million to $2.3 million in costs, and the net profit went down from $700 to $780 to $400,000, $410,000. That was the first revision. And after everything happened, and based on the budget that I have from when I left, and based on the conversation that I have with some of the investors, which I still am connected to, There was not a lot of change from when I last finalized the budget to them before I leave. The total cost of the construction was $2.7 million. Sorry, the $2.5 million, $2.54 million. Based on a sale that was registered and closed of 2.9, the profit, the result was $180,000. But that's not the point. The point of this house, after 1 year delay due to a hurricane and to problems during the construction because of the issues that I already told you, and because of the almost another year of delay with COVID, and 4 months, March, April, May, June, July, August, 5 months of overcharging us with interest. Still this house had margin to perform. Still this house had margin to perform. So if we take out of the question, out of the equation, just the interest extra that we paid only for COVID, that's $200,000, $204,000. The profit was 180, and it would jump to 380 from 13% based on the money they put down. They put about 1.5 million. From the 2.5 million cost, investors put 1.5. The bank financed the rest. We're talking about from 13 to 30% return. And if we didn't lose the last year due to COVID, which is unfortunate, but that's what happened. But in a normal scenario, we need to remove the extremes. I'm not removing the problems in the construction. I'm not removing the problem with the hurricane, because those are actual problems that can happen at any time. But COVID was an exception. It's not going to happen every single year. And it's not a risk that may happen every single year. So if I take out from the cost $200,000, still with the problem with the hurricane, the problem with the construction, would still live about $400,000, almost $400,000 in profit in this project. And this construction for me, this project seals my theory, or that now is not a theory anymore. It's what actually happened. Luxury projects have so much margin that you can make mistakes or have pandemics in the middle and you're still going to make money. So that's why I insist, if you are investing, invest in the luxury market. Right now there's not enough mentions on the market. There's not inventory. So this is a great opportunity for you to invest in the luxury market. And if you do, I can help you both ways. Number one, as an agent, and number two, as a developer. I've been developing here in Miami since 2015. Since Brazil, my first project was 2012. So almost 10 years in this market right now. So I'm psyched. I make $0 from that sale. Zero, because I left the company. That's it. But I'm super excited that project finished. Was my baby. I wanted to live in that house. I'm not gonna. But I'm still young. It does make